Aaron had always thought life on the research station would be quiet. The station floated in the empty stretch of space between human colonies and the far territories of alien kingdoms. For Aaron, who was a young engineer, every day was made of small repairs, system checks, and long hours spent with humming machines. He liked the routine, but sometimes he wished for something different, something more alive than metal walls and blinking lights. That day began like any other. Aaron was checking the power lines on Deck 3 when the station alarms rang. His communicator buzzed, and a voice from control said an alien ship had sent a distress signal. The crew was told to prepare for visitors. Aaron straightened up, surprised. The border was usually quiet. Few alien ships came this close unless it was official business. He quickly finished his work and hurried to the docking bay. The entire station seemed alive with movement. Officers were gathering, and the commander stood tall at the airlock. Aaron joined the line of engineers waiting to see what had happened. The docking doors opened with a hiss, and an alien vessel slid into place. Its design was unlike human ships. The curves looked almost like living wings, and the surface shimmered with soft light. When the doors parted, several figures stepped out. They were tall, graceful, their features sharp and their eyes bright with strange colors. At the center of the group walked a young woman. She wore a long silver robe with blue patterns that shimmered like water. Her hair, dark and smooth, was tied with thin crystal bands. Everyone on the human side bowed slightly, unsure of the custom but trying to show respect. The commander stepped forward and greeted them. The alien captain explained that their energy systems had suffered damage while crossing a radiation storm. They needed help repairing the main power grid before continuing their journey. Aaron watched quietly, his eyes drawn to the young woman in silver. She stood a little apart, her gaze moving across the docking bay with interest. Her eyes were a shade of green that seemed almost too bright, like sunlight through leaves. When her eyes met Aaron's, he quickly looked away, embarrassed. The commander assigned a team of engineers to assist. To Aaron's surprise, his name was called first. He was ordered to go with the aliens and begin repairs. He felt nervous but nodded and stepped forward. Inside the alien vessel, the air was warmer than on the station. The walls glowed faintly, pulsing like veins of light. Aaron had never seen anything so strange yet beautiful. He carried his tool pack close and tried to act professional. The alien captain introduced him to the crew, then gestured toward the young woman. "This is Princess Mira," the captain said in a voice smooth but firm. "She is traveling with us on behalf of her family. She will remain under protection, but she has chosen to observe the repairs." Aaron froze for a moment. "Princess?" He felt his throat tighten. He bowed slightly, unsure of what else to do. Mira's lips curved into a small smile, but she said nothing. They walked together toward the engine chamber. The machines inside hummed faintly, flickering with unstable light. Aaron knelt near the energy core, scanning the system. He spoke in simple words, explaining what he saw. The alien crew watched him with careful eyes, but Mira stepped closer. "You fix this?" she asked softly. Her accent was strange but clear. Aaron glanced at her, surprised she spoke directly to him. "Yes, I will try. The system has short circuits. The storm damaged the core's stabilizers. It will take time." She tilted her head, studying him. "Human, you work with machines like this often?" He nodded. "Every day. It is my work." She folded her hands before her. "Your hands are steady." "That is good." The words made him pause. He was used to hearing technical praise from his commander, not from a princess. He bent again to his task, his cheeks warm. He carefully opened a panel and began repairing the wires. Mira stood near him, silent for a time, watching. As hours passed, Aaron worked steadily. He explained small things to the alien crew, using gestures when words failed. Mira listened closely, asking quiet questions. She wanted to know why humans built square ships instead of curved ones. She wanted to know what humans ate in space. She asked why Aaron chose to live on a station instead of a planet. Aaron answered each question as best he could. He told her about Earth's oceans and forests, about the crowded cities and quiet villages. He spoke of his own home, a small town with fields that stretched to the horizon. Mira's eyes softened as she listened, as if the images painted new colors in her mind. "You miss your home?" she said after a while. Aaron nodded. "Yes, but I also want to see more than one place. That is why I came to space." Her gaze turned thoughtful. "I have seen many places, yet they are not truly mine. Everywhere I go, guards follow. Every word I say is measured. Sometimes I wonder what it would be like to be unseen." Aaron looked at her then. The princess's face was calm, but her voice carried a quiet weight. For the first time, he realized she might be lonelier than anyone in the crowded hall. The repair stretched into the evening. Finally, Aaron tightened the last panel and the core hummed steady and strong. The lights glowed brighter, and the alien crew murmured in relief. The captain thanked him formally, his tone respectful. But it was Mira's soft words that stayed with him. "You did well," she said. "Your hands bring light back to this ship." Aaron swallowed hard, unsure how to reply. He only nodded, his heart beating faster than usual. That night, back on the station, Aaron lay in his small cabin, staring at the ceiling. He thought of the princess's eyes, the way she had listened, the way her voice had carried a truth beyond formality. He told himself she was far above him, a royal figure from another world. Yet he could not push away the memory of her standing close, watching him with a quiet smile. It was only the first day, but Aaron sensed something had begun. He did not know where it would lead, but deep inside, he felt that his life on the station would never be the same again. The next morning, Aaron woke earlier than usual. He tried to keep his mind on routine work, but his thoughts kept returning to the alien vessel and the princess. He told himself it was only curiosity. After all, how often did a human engineer meet a royal figure from another world? Yet something about the way Mira had spoken stayed with him. Her words had not sounded like the voice of a distant princess. They had sounded human, close and searching. When Aaron reported for duty, the commander gave him another task with the alien crew. The power systems were stable, but some minor repairs still needed attention. Aaron prepared his tools again and walked to the docking bay, his heart beating faster than normal. The alien ship welcomed him with the same faint glow. The corridors curved like flowing rivers of light. Alien crew members nodded to him, their movements graceful yet guarded. They seemed more relaxed now that the ship's core had been repaired, and then he saw her again. Princess Mira stood at the end of the corridor, her silver robe reflecting the soft light. She turned as he approached, her green eyes brightening slightly. "You return," she said. "Yes," Aaron answered, trying not to sound too eager. "The commander asked me to check the secondary systems." She gave a small nod. Then we walked together. They moved side by side through the passageways. Mira's guards followed at a distance, silent and watchful. Aaron felt their eyes on him but forced himself to stay calm. In the engine chamber, he began examining the secondary lines. Mira stood nearby, asking more questions. "Why do humans explore so far from their world?" she asked. Aaron thought for a moment. "Because we are curious. We want to see what lies beyond. We want to learn, and sometimes we want to make new homes. Space is large, and we do not want to stay in only one place." Her gaze softened. "Your kind is restless, then?" "Restless, yes," he admitted with a small smile. "But also hopeful." She tilted her head, considering his words. "In my world, we are taught to protect what we already have. We do not reach out without reason. But you humans, you reach even when the stars do not call you. That is strange to me, but also beautiful." Aaron worked in silence for a moment, touched by her honesty. He wanted to say more, but chose his words carefully. "Maybe both ways have value. Protecting and reaching. Balance matters." Mira looked at him then with an expression he could not fully read. It was as if she saw something in him that others had overlooked. Hours passed as Aaron continued repairs. Whenever he explained what he was doing, Mira listened closely. She asked about human tools, about the way humans used energy, about why he trusted machines so deeply. He answered each question patiently, surprised by her curiosity. Most people treated engineers like background workers, but Mira treated his words as important. At one point, while he tightened a cable, she asked, "Do you like this work? These machines, these endless repairs?" Aaron paused, his hand resting on the metal. "Yes," he said softly, "because when something is broken, I can fix it. When I see light return after darkness, it feels right. It feels like I have done something good." Her lips curved slightly. "You speak of light as if it were alive." "Maybe it is," Aaron replied. "Maybe light is hope made real." Mira was quiet, her gaze lowered. Then she whispered, "I have lived in light all my life, but it never felt free. Perhaps it is different when the light comes from your own hands." Her words lingered in the air, soft yet powerful. Aaron looked at her, wanting to ask more, but one of the guards shifted, reminding him of the rules around royalty. He held his silence, though his heart felt heavy with questions. Later, when the systems were finally balanced, the alien captain thanked Aaron again. But instead of leaving at once, Mira suggested they walk the garden deck. Aaron hesitated. He knew it was unusual, maybe even against protocol. But Mira's calm eyes left him no choice. He followed her. The garden deck was unlike anything Aaron had expected. Within the alien ship, a wide chamber opened, filled with tall silver trees and soft glowing flowers. Streams of light trickled like rivers across the ground. It was a living piece of another world carried across the stars. Mira moved among the trees with ease. "This is a piece of my home," she said softly. "It travels with me wherever I go. Yet even here I feel far from who I am." Aaron walked beside her, overwhelmed by the beauty. He touched a leaf that glowed faintly under his fingers. "It is beautiful," he said. "Yes," she answered. "But beauty alone cannot remove the chains." Aaron frowned. "Chains?" Her voice was quiet. "Everywhere I go, I'm a princess first and Mira second. People bow. People obey. People fear. But no one listens to me as a person." Aaron looked at her, his chest tightening. "I listen," he said simply. She turned her gaze to him, her green eyes shining. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Mira gave a small smile. "Yes, you do. And that makes you different." The silence between them was not heavy. It was soft, like a new bond forming. As they walked back, Mira asked about human music. Aaron told her about instruments made of wood and strings, about songs sung around fires, about rhythms that carried stories. She listened as if every word was treasure. When they reached the corridor, Mira stopped. "Thank you for your words," she said. "You have given me something rare." Aaron tilted his head. "What is that?" "Truth," she answered. Spoken without fear, Aaron felt warmth spread through him. He bowed his head slightly, unsure what else to say. That night back on the station, Aaron could not sleep. He kept remembering the glowing garden, the sound of her voice, the way she had looked at him as if he were not just an engineer, but something more. He told himself it was only friendship, only curiosity between two different worlds. But deep inside, he knew it was more than that. A bond was forming, delicate but strong, and though neither of them said it aloud, both felt the first threads of something that could change everything. The days passed slowly, yet for Aaron they felt alive in a way he had never known before. Each morning he hoped he would be called again to the alien vessel. Each night he replayed every word Mira had spoken to him. He tried to remind himself that she was a princess, that her world was far above his. But hope has a way of ignoring reason, and his heart continued to beat faster whenever her name crossed his thoughts. The commander of the station trusted him now to handle most of the alien repairs. Aaron knew that part of the reason was his skill, but another reason was clear. Mira had asked for him by name. Whenever the captain of her vessel requested assistance, it was always Aaron they welcomed first. Aaron told himself to stay professional, yet every moment with Mira felt personal. She walked beside him, asked about human life, listened when he spoke. No one had ever listened to him with such attention. In her presence, even the simplest things seemed meaningful. One evening, after a long day of work, Aaron was asked to check the final stabilizers near the heart of the alien ship. The chamber was quiet, lit by a steady glow from the repaired core. Most of the crew had gone to rest. Only Mira remained, standing nearby with her guards at the far end of the hall. Aaron knelt by the panel, tightening the last connections. His hands were steady, but his mind was not. He could feel Mira's gaze on him, calm yet heavy, as if her thoughts were miles deep. "You are always careful," she said softly. Aaron looked up. "Careful work keeps people safe. A mistake could bring darkness back to your ship." She tilted her head. "You speak of machines as if they are people." Aaron smiled faintly. "Machines do not breathe, but they carry lives on their shoulders. If I treat them with care, I treat those lives with care too." Mira's lips curved slightly. "You speak with heart. That is rare among those who work with metal." Her words filled him with quiet warmth. He bent his head again to finish his work, but his thoughts grew tangled. He wanted to say more, something beyond machines and repairs. The chamber grew silent except for the hum of the core. Aaron leaned back against the wall, wiping his brow. Mira stepped closer, her robe brushing the floor softly. For a moment she stood near enough that he could see the faint silver pattern on her sleeves. "Do you ever grow tired of being here?" she asked. Aaron glanced at her. Here on the station? Sometimes yes. The walls never change. The sky never opens. But there are moments that make the waiting worth it. She studied him with curious eyes. And what moment is this? Aaron's heart pounded. He had not meant to lead the words there, yet something inside him broke free. He swallowed, his voice trembling before he even realized it. This moment, he whispered, because I'm with you, and I love you. The words slipped out like breath escaping. Aaron froze, the weight of them striking him all at once. His face turned pale. His heart raced. He had not planned to say them, not even thought them through, but now they hung in the air between them, heavy and unshakable. Mira did not move at first. Her eyes widened slightly, but her expression was unreadable. She stared at him as if searching for something within his soul. The silence stretched long enough for Aaron to feel crushed beneath it. He tried to speak again, panic rising. "Forgive me, Princess. I did not mean—" Before he could finish, the doors of the chamber opened. 2 guards stepped in, their boots clicking against the floor. They bowed to Mira and spoke quickly in their language. Mira turned toward them, her face calm again, though her hands were folded tightly. Aaron stepped back, his heart sinking. The moment was broken. The guards led Mira away, and she left without another word, her silver robe trailing behind her. Aaron stood alone, shaken, the echo of his confession still burning in his chest. That night, Aaron could not sleep. He lay in his cabin, staring at the ceiling, replaying every detail. The way the words had slipped from his lips, the shock in her eyes, the silence that followed. He cursed himself quietly. She was a princess, daughter of a ruler. He was only an engineer, a man of wires and tools. How foolish to think she would want to hear such words from him. The next day, Aaron expected to be barred from the alien vessel. He thought the captain might report him to his commander. He thought Mira might refuse to see him again. Yet when the request came from the alien ship, it was once more his name they asked for. His chest tightened as he prepared himself, unsure if he was walking toward punishment or forgiveness. When he entered the ship, the captain gave him his task without mention of the night before. The crew treated him the same, with quiet respect. But when Mira appeared in the corridor, his breath caught. She walked toward him slowly, her green eyes calm. Her expression revealed nothing, but she did not avoid him. Instead, she stopped beside him and said only, "The garden deck waits for us later. If you wish to walk." Her words gave him hope and fear all at once. Did she want to speak about what had happened? Did she plan to tell him never to say such things again? He could not know, but he nodded, willing to face whatever truth she held. That evening, after the repairs, Aaron followed her once more into the glowing garden. The trees shimmered, the flowers glowed, and silence wrapped around them like a soft veil. The guards waited at the entrance, far enough not to hear. Mira walked slowly among the silver trees, her hands brushing the leaves. Aaron followed, his heart heavy. Finally, she turned to him. "Last night," she said softly, "you spoke words that carry weight." Aaron lowered his head. "Yes, and I regret speaking them. It was foolish." She studied him. "Why do you regret them?" "Because you are a princess," he said quickly. "Your world is not mine. Those words were not meant for me to say. I had no right." Mira stepped closer, her eyes steady. "Yet they came from you without thought." "That makes them true." Aaron looked up, startled. Her expression was calm, but her eyes glowed with something deeper. "I do not ask you to repeat them," she continued. "I only ask you to understand that words like those are not chains to me. They are rare. They are free. And though I cannot answer them now, I did not wish them to vanish without meaning." Aaron's chest tightened. He could hardly breathe, but her words carried no anger, no rejection. Instead, they carried something unspoken, something waiting. Before he could reply, Mira turned and began to walk again. "Come," she said softly. "The stars are brighter from this side of the garden." Aaron followed her, his heart still burning, his mind still tangled. The words he had spoken could not be undone, but perhaps they had not destroyed everything. Perhaps they had planted something instead. A seed hidden in silence, waiting to grow. As the two of them stood beneath the glowing branches, the stars beyond the ship's window shining bright, Aaron knew that his life was no longer guided by machines and repairs alone. He had stepped into something greater, something fragile and powerful, and though the future was uncertain, he felt a hope stronger than ever before. The station grew busier as days turned into weeks. The alien ship remained docked longer than expected, as more repairs were needed to secure its systems. For Aaron, this meant more time near Mira. though each meeting carried a hidden weight after the night he confessed his feelings. He thought about that moment constantly, about the silence that had followed, about her calm reply that his words were not chains, but rare truth. Still, whispers began to spread. Humans on the station noticed how often Aaron was called to the alien ship. Alien crew members noticed how often Mira lingered near him during work. Guards watched more closely, and the air around them grew heavier with suspicion. One afternoon, while Aaron adjusted the navigation links with two alien engineers, he heard their voices drop into low tones. They spoke in their language, but he caught enough of their expression to understand. Their eyes flicked toward him, then toward Mira, who stood in the corridor speaking softly with her guard. The engineer's tone carried unease, maybe even warning. Later, when Aaron returned to the station's mess hall, he felt the same whispers from his own people. Two technicians muttered that he spent too much time with the alien princess. A pilot laughed that Aaron thought himself important because a royal spoke to him. Aaron ate in silence, trying not to show how much the words pierced. That evening, Mira invited him once more to the garden deck. The glowing trees swayed gently in the artificial breeze, their silver leaves shining under soft light. Mira walked slowly, her steps graceful but her face thoughtful. "You have heard the whispers," she said without looking at him. Aaron hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, from humans and from your crew." She stopped, turning to face him. "It was bound to happen. People see more than we wish. They think a princess should not walk beside an engineer. They think a human should not stand too close to royal blood. They fear change." Aaron lowered his gaze. "Perhaps they are right. Perhaps I should step back." Her eyes sharpened. "Do you wish to step back?" He swallowed hard. "No, but I do not want to bring trouble to you." For a long moment, Mira studied him, her green eyes searching. Then her voice softened. "You already brought something. But it is not trouble. It is truth. Do not regret it." Her words filled him with warmth, though fear still clung to his chest. He wanted to believe her, but the world around them was not simple. The next day, news arrived from her homeworld. Her father, the ruler of her people, had sent a message ordering her to return as soon as the ship was fully repaired. The captain of the vessel spoke firmly with the station commander, explaining that the princess's safety was their highest duty. Aaron listened from the background, his heart sinking with every word. Soon, Mira would be gone, and he would return to his life of metal walls and quiet routines. That night, Aaron found himself alone in the workshop, his hands idle over half-finished repairs. His mind wandered endlessly. He thought of her voice, her questions, the way she had spoken of chains and freedom. He thought of the moment he had confessed and of her answer. Would he ever see her again after she left? Would his words vanish into the void between stars? The door slid open and Mira entered quietly. She had slipped away from her guards. Though Aaron knew they would not stay far, she looked around the workshop, curious, her hands brushing over the human tools and consoles. "So this is where you live when you are not on our ship," she said gently. Aaron smiled faintly. "Yes, it is not as bright as your garden, but it is home." She stepped closer, her eyes moving over the scattered wires and parts. "It feels different, simple, honest, not filled with ceremony." He watched her carefully. "Perhaps that is why you came." She turned toward him, her green eyes glowing in the dim light. "Perhaps it is. I wish to speak before I leave." Aaron's chest tightened. "You are leaving soon, then?" "Yes, my father calls." His voice is command, not request. "I cannot refuse." Silence fell between them. Aaron wanted to speak but could not find the words. Finally, Mira broke the silence. "When you said those words to me, I did not answer," she whispered. "Do you know why?" Aaron shook his head slowly. "Because I feared what would follow. Not your truth, but the chains others would try to place around it. My life is not mine alone. Every choice I make shakes more than my own path. If I had spoken in that moment, everything would have changed, and perhaps not for the better." Aaron listened, his heart heavy. He wanted to tell her he understood, but he also wanted to ask for more. Instead, he remained quiet, letting her continue. "But now," she said softly, "I know I cannot leave without saying this. Your words did not frighten me. They gave me strength. For the first time, I felt seen as Mira, not as princess." Aaron looked at her, his voice low. "And what do you feel now?" Her gaze did not waver. "I feel that truth should not be hidden even if the world resists it. For a long moment they stood facing each other, the air between them heavy with unspoken meaning. Then a sharp sound echoed in the hall. The door slid open and her guard stepped in, their eyes stern. Mira straightened quickly, her face calm once more. "It is time," one of them said firmly. "Princess, your father awaits your return." Mira gave Aaron one last look, her eyes holding both sorrow and fire. Then she turned and walked with the guards, her silver robe flowing like water behind her. Aaron stood frozen, his hands clenched at his sides. He wanted to run after her, to speak again, to beg for more time. But he knew the chains of her world were pulling her away. The next day, the alien ship prepared for departure. The repaired systems hummed with strength, ready to carry the princess back across the stars. Humans and aliens gathered in the docking bay for formal farewells. The commander of the station spoke polite words, and the alien captain bowed in return. Aaron stood at the edge of the crowd, his heart aching. He told himself to stay silent, to remain only an engineer unseen among the rest. Yet deep inside he felt that this was not the end. The truth he had spoken, the truth she had carried, could not vanish so easily. As Mira passed through the bay surrounded by guards, her eyes found his for a brief second. No words were spoken, but in that look was a promise, silent but powerful. And though the ship would soon leave, though the distance between them would grow wider than light years, Aaron knew that what they had shared was not broken. It was waiting. Waiting for a moment yet to come, when truth could no longer be hidden. The day of departure arrived with a quiet tension in the station. The alien ship gleamed under the docking lights, its silver curves reflecting the human outpost like a mirror. Every crew member moved with purpose, checking systems, coordinating supplies, and preparing for the long journey ahead. Aaron walked through the docking bay, his steps slower than usual. Each moment brought him closer to the inevitable farewell. His heart had grown heavy over the past weeks. He had learned to repair engines, to handle delicate energy cores, and to speak words of reassurance to alien crews. Yet none of these tasks had prepared him for this. The thought of Mira leaving, of the distance growing between them, made his chest ache in ways that no mechanical problem ever could. Mira moved through the bay beside her guards, her posture regal, her eyes bright with purpose. The human and alien crowds parted silently as she walked. When her gaze found Aaron, a quiet understanding passed between them. Neither needed words to express what they had shared. The weight of unsaid feelings was carried in their steady looks. The captain of the alien ship addressed everyone, giving instructions and final warnings. Aaron's hands trembled slightly as he made his way to the ship for last-minute checks on the core. The humming energy inside felt like the heartbeat of the vessel, strong and alive. He ran diagnostics, confirming that every system was ready for space travel. All the while, Mira watched quietly from the doorway, her presence a steady calm amid the controlled chaos. Finally, the moment arrived. The captain gave the order to begin departure. The energy core glowed brighter. Lights pulsed rhythmically and the ship's systems roared to life. The docking clamps released and the vessel began to lift slowly from the station, hovering above the platform as thrusters powered up. Aaron stepped closer, keeping a careful distance. Guards moved to keep others away, but Mira's eyes remained on him. He could see the slightest curve of her lips, the softness in her gaze. The same quiet fire he had seen weeks before remained there, holding something powerful that had waited for the right time. The ship began to rise higher. Aaron felt the vibration through the floor, the gentle push of engines as the vessel prepared to leave the station entirely. His heart pounded as he realized that this might be the final chance. He wanted to speak, but fear held his words. What if she rejected him? What if his previous confession had been a mistake? Mira stepped forward slightly, closer than protocol allowed, her eyes locked on his. Aaron took a careful step toward her, his hands trembling. She did not pull back. The hum of the engines filled the space, but her silence carried more weight than any sound. "You're ready," she said softly, her voice carrying above the thrumming energy of the ship. Aaron nodded. "Yes, the ship is ready." She studied him for a long moment, then spoke again, quieter this time, a whisper meant only for him. "At last." The words struck him like a sudden light. His chest tightened, tears threatening to spill. At last she had said it. At last the moment they had both waited for, through silence, through fear, through unspoken truth, had arrived. Aaron could barely find his voice. he began, but she shook her head gently. "No need," she said, smiling softly. "I have waited, and now I know." The guards shifted, reminding them of the rules, yet Mira remained calm, regal yet free in that one quiet moment. She stepped back slightly but did not turn away. Her green eyes held his with an intensity that told him everything words could not. Aaron's hands moved slightly, almost instinctively, as if wanting to reach for her, but he stopped, knowing that space, duty, and protocol demanded distance. Yet in that distance they shared everything that mattered. The truth of feelings, the quiet bond that had grown over weeks of small conversations, shared laughter, and late-night talks about the stars. The ship began to drift higher, and Aaron felt the gentle pull as thrusters engaged fully. Mira's gaze never left his until the moment she was above the station, and the sky opened to the vast stretches of space. Even then, she held his eyes, conveying trust, hope, and connection stronger than any spoken vow. As the vessel moved away, Aaron watched it vanish into the distance, a silver streak among the stars. His heart ached, but it was not sorrow alone. The words she had whispered, at last, had planted a seed of hope, of certainty that their story was only beginning. In the following days, Aaron returned to his work on the station. Machines hummed, engines glowed, and circuits needed attention. Yet every task felt different now. He repaired systems with a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that somewhere across the stars Mira remembered him as more than an engineer. She remembered the truth of who he was, and he remembered the same for her. Occasionally, messages arrived from the alien ship. Short transmissions of routine checks, updates on the vessel's progress, and quiet notes from Mira herself. Even in the simple lines she sent, Aaron could feel her presence. Each word carried care, curiosity, and the subtle strength of someone who had learned to trust a human's heart. Weeks later, the alien captain sent formal greetings to the station, praising Iran's work and professionalism. Yet the captain also noted something different in the human engineer. There was confidence, patience, and a quiet determination that went beyond technical skill. Aaron smiled quietly, thinking of Mira's gaze, of the garden deck, and of the words she had whispered. Even though the princess was far, the bond they shared had changed him. The world felt larger and brighter. The stars were no longer distant lights, but reminders of connection, trust, and the promise of what could grow. One evening, Aaron sat on the observation deck of the station, looking at the endless stretch of space. The ship carrying Mira moved among the stars, its lights dim against the infinite darkness, yet to Aaron it shone brightly. He closed his eyes and whispered softly, "Until we meet again." Somewhere in the vast distance, Mira, on her ship, looked up at the stars and whispered back, her voice carried in thought more than sound. "Until we meet again." The universe was wide and full of unknowns. Civilizations separated by years of travel and countless light years might never meet again. Yet in that vast expanse, the quiet bond of two souls, human and alien, had begun to grow. The trust, the understanding, the truth they had shared was unbreakable, carried in memory, in thought, and in the silent heartbeat of the stars. For Aaron, life on the station never returned to the quiet monotony it once had. Every repair, every hum of engines, every flicker of light reminded him of the truth he had spoken, of the words Mira had whispered, and of the bond that could not be broken by distance or duty. In the end, it was not the titles, the worlds, or the orders that mattered. It was the simple truth that they had found each other, that their words had reached across boundaries, and that love, in its quiet, unspoken, and patient form, had been acknowledged at last. And somewhere far away, amid the stars and silver trees of her traveling garden, Mira smiled quietly. She knew the promise of what had begun would grow, not through grand gestures but through patience, trust, and the simple act of being seen. The universe stretched endlessly, full of danger, mystery, and light. But for Aaron and Mira, the first step had been taken. The words had been spoken, the bond had been sealed, and in the quiet of space, across the distance of worlds, the promise of at last was theirs to carry forever.